Hi there, Will Rice with the Tips team, bringing you another after-school special in our AI series. Today we'll be talking about one of Workspace's newest features, Google Classroom practice sets. Practice sets launched just this year in 2023. In fact, it started rolling out in mid-April. Probably all teachers now at EMDA Public Schools will have access to this tool as part of the Google Classroom suite. These practice activities are built right into Google Classroom. You build them in Google Classroom as a teacher and share them with students in Classroom to complete and review the results in Classroom as well. This tool combines some of the basic functionality of Google Forms with some AI-driven support for finding and linking images, photos, and videos to support students in completing the questions with hints. So it is a little bit less formal, but it is more interactive than a Google Form might be. Let's explore practice sets by jumping right in and taking a look at where you find the tool and how you use it. So you might have noticed when you logged into Google Classroom recently, right beside your calendar icon, you now have a new button called Practice Sets. And that's because unlike most other ways of adding content to your classroom, Practice Sets is built right in Classroom and you actually edit, create, and assign them right in Classroom. But to make a practice set, we're going to click on Practice Sets and it's going to launch this new area. This is the only place you actually create content in here to assign to the students, so it might be a little bit different. These aren't held in Google Drive, they're held right here in Classroom. So let's go ahead and click Create, and it's going to create us a blank practice set. We'll just call this one Test really quickly. You'll note here that it looks familiar. It looks very similar to Google Forms in a way, but a little more simplified. Let's go ahead and type in a question and see what our options are. So our options are, in this case, it defaults to short answer, but we do have short answer, paragraph, single select, and multi-select. Only the three that are tagged here are auto grading, and that makes sense as paragraph responses generally need a teacher to review. We can go in here and we can type in some answers, blue. This here is the correct answer. What we can do though is, unlike Google Forms, where if you wanted multiple correct answers, you would go ahead and have to type them all in. In this case, what we can do is type blue. We can scroll up here to this and double check that in our settings, we have set it to ignore capitalization. That means that I don't have to enter blue with a capital and blue without a capital B. In fact, it's just looking for B-L-U-E in any order with any capitalization. We'll talk a little more about equivalent answers as we move along, but in this case, we can see that we have a question, we have an answer, and it's provided us under skills here, see suggested, and that's where the AI portion of this comes in. It's actually looking at our question and seeing if it has any information or any hints or support materials that some other teacher in the pool or the AI has trained it to know that it goes with this question. So let's see what it suggests. How light interacts with a surface, explaining auroras. Now this question is pretty basic, and I have noticed that the skills tend to be a little more complex. So the more complex questions do seem to have more skills, and the basic recall questions tend to not, because there's not really a skill for that without just giving them the answer. So in this case, I'm not going to put one in. Let's go ahead and add a new question. And let's take a look here and see this. Let's take a look and think about this here for a second. Let's move on to a math question. In this case, I'm going to make this a multi-select. We'll make a single select. We'll make this a multiple choice question. And we're going to come in, type in our box here, and we'll notice we have an equation here. And this actually is a built-in equation editor. So we're going to actually first put what is... We're actually going to make a quick question here. We're going to go in here, click here, and this lets us actually work a little bit with an equation editor. So let's go 4 1/2 is the as which decimal. And now I can come down into the answer section. I can go ahead and click this again if I wanted to, Or I can actually, just because I'm working in decimals, just do 4.75, 4.5, 5.5, 4.45. And then I'm going to select the correct answer. So I have a question that I've used the editor on. I've got some answers. I'm going to come down here. If we wait a little bit, you'll notice here that as soon as it scans that question, I can click. It'll say see suggested. And convert between fractions and decimals is a skill that's here. So let's go ahead and click that. And now we'll see the light bulbs shine up, and we'll take a look at how to look at that later. The one place where this really does shine, because this is very similar to Google Forms, and the advantage to students will see at the other end and to you as well, is actually if you already have a PDF that you're looking to digitize, is actually a place this is really quick. Because we know that that can be quite painful to do item by item, but if we click import, the only file types we can actually import from are PDFs. And if we happened to have a worksheet, let's just say we had this worksheet here, not the best worksheet in the world, but it was one that I found. And I go to import this. Unlike, it's not, you might think, oh, it's just going to import the whole page. But what it lets me do is actually come in and just grab the ones that I want. So I'm going to, let's say I pick and choose. I just want them to practice a few questions. And here are the 4 that I want them to practice. It says I've selected 4. I click import. And it's going to automatically bring in those 4 as images. I can add some text to this if I want. And it's going to ask me to go ahead and manually enter those answers. So, let's put one in here and just see what that is. All right, so we can go ahead and put in 975. In this case, I might want to come up here and go ahead and put equivalent answers so that if the student were to put 975.0, it would still put it correctly. So I can go through, and again, it's going to give me these suggested skills, and then multiply a whole number by a fraction, factor polynomials. It may or may not be right. Multiply. I can actually search. That was not a good one. And you may not find some of these skills because they're too helpful. They just tell the student how to do it. At this time, there's no way for you to pick your own videos other than that. It's really AI driven. It's meant to be a quick, easy way to create a practice for the student. So as you can see, we have all these. We could put all the answers in and make sure that they're there. Now, so if you do have a worksheet you do like, it's pretty quick and easy to digitize. Now, the other nice thing here is at the top, we can see we have try as a student. So once we think we're ready, instead of having to ask a student to take a look, we can just click try as a student, continue anyways, just because I didn't put all those right answers in, and we go right into the view of a student. So this is the student view for this tool. Number 1, they can go ahead and type in an answer. Let's see if the capitalization is working. They go ahead, they type an answer, and it doesn't say, just says check. It's just a practice piece. So we're checking, and green, and a check mark. Awesome. I come in here. Let's say I pick this answer here. I'm going to check my answer. Uh-oh, it's wrong. And it prompts me to click on this hint. And this hint actually takes me to whatever the AI decided to go ahead and do. So it's actually walking me through, kind of how to convert a fraction into a decimal here. So that might or might not be helpful to the student. So it's important to work with the students to understand that these are not ones you've picked, but this is just Google searching the internet for them. And just like they search the internet, they don't always find what they're looking for. Sometimes we don't find it here either. And then we can also scroll down here. We can go ahead and put in an answer. And we can see that again, yep, there we go, correct. Get my little fist bump. And so it's kind of this little interactive activity. And you can see here that for the student, it shows them when they got it right. If I come back to this one and I go ahead and I check it again, yep, got it right this time. So now the student can hop around using this navigation as well. What's really interesting is if you do want to do more complicated work, the students do have the ability to click on show your work. And if they have a touch-enabled device, which would probably be the best for this, they can go ahead, in this case, they can type in to show their work. How did they get to that answer, right? And if they come into here, they can go ahead and do one of two things. They can type an answer, or if they click the squiggle, they can actually ink an answer, and they can actually show you, they had this, they know that this is the same as 5/10, 5/10 is equal to 1/2, right? And if they have a touch device, this would work really well for that. So just know that they have a couple of different ways to show their work. They can check their answers, they can get hints. The last thing I'll show you that they really should know about is this extra help. Extra help is just the AI engine on steroids. It's auto scanning. You're not linking directly to which one you want, and it's going to give them tons of information that applies to the entire section here. So for example, fractions to decimals is right here. So this is, again, the Google search engine automatically looking at the questions and searching for them. But it's important that they know that they are definitely not the, that they're not doing the search, the computer's doing it for them. So they have to be, savvy users. Here's what the Google, keep coming out. Maybe this one right here is one that I think would really help me. Obviously, if you don't have a TI-84 calculator, this one's not going to help you. So that's how you would check that before you send it out. So we'll close that preview and we'll head back. So I've created my practice sets. I go back into my classes. I head off to a class, head to classwork, create an assignment as always. And now you'll notice in the attached section, we have our practice sets. We can go ahead and pick from one of those practice sets we created. Let's say it's this one. And we're going to go ahead and say attach. And I can give them those instructions and click assign as always. Where it really signs is actually when you've actually completed one. So let's look at the back end. So you hand that out, the students do it just like you've already seen. And when they're done, you come back and you click on here on the turn in, and you're going to see something a little new. So you're going to see the thing, you're going to see it's turned in. Yep. Okay, it's done. It's completed. I can go over here to take a look at it, but you're going to see a new button called Class Insights. And Class Insights is going to pop us into sort of that grading pane, but it's going to give us the ability to slice and dice these questions, question by question here, for example. I can actually go in and take a look at student by student, look at their work, see what they typed, add comments as always. I can then click on a question like we had before and just look at problem 2. And I can look at how many got it right, how many got it wrong. In this case, here's one that everybody got wrong. Maybe if they've typed in their work, I can go ahead and see what it was they were having trouble with. You can also see you get some automatic insights. And this is again where the AI comes in. 4 students got this question wrong. Maybe this is one to look into. Well, Blythe is having trouble with a lot of these. Let's check Blythe's out. Sorry, Blythe, but thanks for being my guinea pig. And you just sort of have this really interesting way to get at a glance. Here's a question everybody got right. Probably a topic or a skill that we don't need to review. Here's one that everybody almost got wrong. Let's go ahead and talk about that, right? So just know that the AI kind of comes on the back end as well, in that it's kind of trying to point out to you how this class did on the assessment, but it also lets you slice and dice by all students, one student, or one question. So you can just click right in this chart to kind of slice and dice the data any way you want. So it's a great way to get that sort of quick feedback from the class, quickly digitize a worksheet to do some sample problems, and just, another way to engage your students in classroom with some interactive activities. There are a few things I would love to just sort of highlight here. There are a few things we want to remember. Number one, definitely this is a practice set tool. It's not meant for robust, secure assessments. Google Forms sort of remains your place to go if you want a locked form with assessments to do those. Those hint material suggestions are still not awesome tying them to skills. They're better with more complicated skills and math skills specifically. However, you may not find what you're looking for in those skills. And lastly, students using that extra help materials should definitely be informed that those videos, photos, whatever's in there are just, the AI doing a Google search for them, and they still have to look through them to find the one they think might help them. It's not you compiling all those resources, because it's meant to just be a quick, easy way to practice some skills. Hopefully that gave you kind of an insight into practice sets and how they work. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check back, we do weekly videos. Connect with your TIPS team member, or visit our website at tips.epsb.ca for more information. And hope you enjoy practice sets and can put them to good use in your classroom.